Hi, BookTube. Welcome to Jackie's Literary Corner. I am Jackie, and I'm going to do a review and chat about my reading of Joe Hill's Horns. So I just finished this yesterday, and I really enjoyed it. This is a story about Iggy Parrish. He is a young man who has a pretty good life. His dad's a famous musician, jazz musician. His mom was a Las Vegas showgirl. His grandmother lives with them. He has a very good relationship with his parents and his grandma. And his brother Terry is like his best friend. But he does also have a best friend, Lee, whom he does have a little bit of a complicated relationship with. And then he has a loving girlfriend, Marin, whom he met one day at church. And they have been dating for a while. He is completely in love with her, sees a future with her. He's never been with anyone else, neither is she. But then, one night, when it's around the time he's getting out of college, and he's thinking about taking a job. And Marin in this job is overseas in England, and Marin is worried about him meeting someone new and thinking that maybe they need to start seeing other people. And he's not very happy about that. He gets very upset about it, and they end up breaking up. And that night, she is sexually assaulted and murdered. And Iggy is the prime suspect, even though he wasn't there when it happened. So I think it's been either a year later or a few years later, on the anniversary of that night, he's out with his new girlfriend, Glenna, who's also a girl that they grew up with. And after a drunken night, he wakes up with devil horns on his head. And he dismisses it at first, but then after interacting with Glenna and other people throughout the day, he soon realizes that these devil horns have some kind of special power. They get people to confess their most sinful thoughts and their most wicked desires. And even when he goes home to visit his family, his parents reveal to him the honest truth about what they think of him and if they think he's guilty. And it turns out they do think he's guilty, and with the exception of his brother Terry, because Terry knows who actually murdered Marin. And this drives Iggy to seek revenge, and he becomes more of a devil than he realizes, to the point where at this point he's already stopped is no longer believing in God and trusting God. So this is a very dark story. It has a supernatural element to it with the devil horns, and the devil horns having power and him becoming very demon-like. But it's more about the monsters within us as humans and how we all have a dark side. And Iggy sees the dark side of everybody with the power of these horns. But we also get the dark side of people without the horns, because the antagonist of the story, the horns at first don't affect him. So it explores having faith in how, in situations like this where you're grieving, where someone you love has been brutally murdered and a lot of shitty things are happening in your life, it's kind of hard to have a lot of faith in God. And he gets to this really dark place, and I personally don't agree with that, but something like that has never happened to me before. I mean, I've had my family members who have died, but not in that way. And so, but I understand I kind of get where he's coming from, in the sense, not from experience, but I can see where he could get to that place, such a dark place, and find himself in such a dark hole. And the devil, of course, if you know about religion, whether you're religious or not, you know that you are told the devil tempts you and seduces you and gives you what you think you want. And the devil seems to, throughout the story, I feel like the devil you can see how the devil can seem to make things easier, make your life simple, and allow you to, like, all your negative emotions to come out. And if someone hurts you, it's like the devil gives you permission to punish people. Because in that when you're feeling that way, and the way Iggy is feeling the story where someone has murdered his lost love, it's hard for you to want to be like, oh, I'm going to do the right thing. I'm the bigger person, the more moral person, and forgive that person. And it's hard to forgive. Iggy cannot forgive this person because he knows them. He knows this person who killed her. And it's hard for him to forgive this person because he trusted this person. Also, we see a lot of his complicated friendship with Lee, and he looks at Lee when they're growing up, he looks at Lee in this very different light than what we learn as a reader about who Lee is. They meet when Iggy does this really dumb stunt that almost gets him killed, and it looks like Lee saved his life. But of course, we find out that that's not really true. That he admits that he didn't actually save Iggy's life. And at first he does try to protest and tell Iggy, no, I didn't. And they have this very complicated, manipulative relationship and friendship. And you learn that Lee really very much has feelings, although I think it's more lust and desire than anything. And maybe there is affection there, but it's more obsessive and possessive affection on Lee's part for Marin. He has feelings for Marin. In fact, he was the one who first spotted Marin in church the day they met her, and she had lost her cross necklace, which the cross necklace plays an important role. Like, you already know that, considering this is we're dealing with the devil metaphorically, and literally in a way, with the devil horns and everything. The cross in Christianity represents the cross that Jesus was put on when he sacrificed himself. And she's wearing the cross necklace, and it plays a very important role in the story. There's also all these devil references, like Terry's either, I don't know if it's his band or a band he's interviewing because he gets his own show, reality show, I think it's kind of like TRL type. And when he's stoned out of his mind at one point he is recalling Sympathy, the song that played Sympathy for the Devil. And there's one point when Iggy and Marin are in a treehouse when they're young. They find this random treehouse, and there's these in the treehouse there's these china figurines, and he notices when they realize they gotta leave really quickly and they're trying to get out, he's looking at blowing out the candles and that they lit, and there's a little china figurine of, sorry, I'm trying to get through this review without coughing. But there's this china figurine of the devil, like laughing a little bit and dancing. And it makes it really nervous and uncomfortable. It kind of scares him a little bit. There's a few other references scattered throughout, and there's one thing that I think foreshadows what happens to Iggy, and foreshadows some other stuff that are kind of spoileringly, where Marin is telling Iggy about her sister, and how she had got cancer, and it killed her eventually. In the last few months, she had said some horrible, blunt things to Marin and their parents that really were very mean and hurtful to Marin and her parents. And I feel like that kind of foreshadows how Iggy, the devil horns, make people reveal some things that you don't really want to hear, that Iggy does not want to hear, that are very mean and hurtful and brutally honest. Like I said, I think so I think this is a really good, really very darn good read that, that really explores grief and also the darkness in all of us. And I think it could be probably lethargic for someone who is dealing with something like this, where, you know, they've lost someone they love and it's put us down, or they're even in a, not necessarily lost someone they love, but they've made some bad choices in their life. I think it could be really lethargic to read something like this that would explore that and those feelings, and how, and understand how easy it is to get to that place. It does, I feel like, have a very bittersweet ending to it. Like, one review said they felt like it was a happy ending, and it kind of was for, but not for everybody, I feel like. And it was really hard reading some of the parts where he hears other people's thoughts, especially like characters that were strangers to him. I was still uncomfortable. But there were strangers to him. But his parents and his grandma, and what he does to his grandma, some part of me can't entirely blame him for doing when he did have anger. And it kind of also shows how the devil is kind of infecting him, how he reacts to his grandma. I mean, it kind of made me uncomfortable at the same time. Like, I kind of understood how he could get to that point, but also it kind of made me uncomfortable, especially as someone who does love one of her, like, loves both my grandmas. Although my relationship with one of them is not, we don't really have much of a relationship, but I do love, there's one of them I very much love and could not see myself doing what he does to her. But if, of course, if I got to that dark place, then maybe I would, out of anger. And, but hearing those thoughts he has, hearing those thoughts from his parents, that they actually believe he did it, is kind of heartbreaking. Feeling that it's like, these are your parents, they're supposed to love you no matter what. But, I mean, who knows when you get to if someone did something that horrible, if someone believed did something that horrible, but it's like, I don't understand how they could believe that he would do that, because he loved this girl, he loved Marin very much, and the only problems that they had is that maybe he loved her too much. Of course, I feel like Lee loved her too much too. Like I said, he becomes very obsessive with Lee. He becomes very obsessive with her, and I almost feel like Iggy deserves a better friend than Lee. And you do get his perspective in one of the later part. You get his point of view a little bit, and you get his backstory. And he's definitely the most complex character, I think, because on the one hand, I actually pity him, but on the other hand, I feel sorry for the guy too. Like, you get some of his backstory and how his mom was kind of abusive and a bully, and she was very cruel to him. And he returns the favor, unfortunately, when she's dying. So this kind of has, and Lee has kind of have, all I'm going to say is he does have a connection to what happens to Marin in the story. But it was really good, very dark, and, you know, of course, like his dad, Stephen King, he does not shy away from the nitty-gritty of the darkness and people. I think it was really good. Like I said, there were parts that made me a little uncomfortable. There's, like I said, there's sexual assault. Well, it's more than that, but I don't know if I can say that word on. I actually have been wondering about if I could say grape. So I'm gonna say it's grape. That's what Emily Fox refers to it, because I don't think you can say it on here. So, but I'm gonna call it, she experiences grape. And there is of course, murder, abuse, and let's see, a lot of stuff in here. It's just really dark, but still a really good book. And like I said, I like how it explores how it can be yeah, it can be hard to have faith when your life goes to shit and everything's really horrible in your life. But anyway, so that is my review of Joe Hill's Horns. And if you like this video, please give a thumbs up. Click subscribe if you haven't already. Click the notification bell if you want to be notified for my latest videos. And if you are interested, please check out Horns. I think it's a pretty good book. It's not as long as Nosferatu. So if you're not ready for Nosferatu, check out this one. And I am thinking about my next Joe Hill book might be giving Heart-Shaped Box another shot, because I think it was just bad timing when I read it. So when I got it from the library. So in fact, I think it might have been when I was sick, even like a few years ago, like 2018, maybe when I was sick. But anyway, so I hope you are enjoying your reading, and I will talk to you all later. All right, bye.